First off, just want to give my thoughts and prayers to the Whiteman family, and with the passing of Ella, just a hard day for our university, and put some things in perspective a little bit for us. Is we mope around a little bit after not having the best start we want to have, and sometimes you just got to get your eyes up in life and realize there's a lot harder things going on around you. But just want to make sure that their family knows that we're thinking about them, and hopefully our school can unite and help each other in this hard time. With that, I thought we needed a win. We just needed to get on the right side of the hyphen, and I thought for the first 16 minutes of the game, I thought we played some really good basketball. I thought we came out and played with a tight floor. I thought we played with some good defensive intensity. I thought we were making them take some tough shots. And, they decided to go zone. And when they did, I thought it got us a little bit stagnant offensively. And then I thought that affected some of our defensive intensity, going to half, up 25 or so. And then, I thought the worst part of the game was how we came out of halftime. That was a little bit disappointing. But, we're working through everything. We're just trying to get to consistency. We're trying to get to complementary. We're trying to get to complete. We have to understand the criticality of everything mattering in order when you're trying to win games. And that middle eight is critical. Those last four and those first four, you got to make sure you go in the tunnel right. You got to make sure you come out of the tunnel right. And I didn't think our leadership tonight had us ready to roll from an intensity standpoint. And they came out there and they scored. It felt like 8 points in a row, and I took the timeout. And from there we were a little bit better. But I think if you look at the stats, I think everything looks good outside the shooting. And as a coach, you're always looking for shot quality. You got to trust that if you're taking the right ones, everything's going to regress to the mean. And I thought for the most part, 45 threes, you could say that's a lot. They sat there in the zone, for the last kind of 24 minutes of the game, just trying to, take away our ability to just get to the basket. So it's going to force you to shoot a few more threes. I would say probably 30 of those I thought were really, really good ones. And then I thought some were a little bit too deep, a little bit too quick, a little bit, not getting a paint touch early. But then there were some that we got in good rhythm and we just missed them. And, so we've got good shooters. We've got good shooters. I think the last 10 days or so, shaking our confidence a little bit. We got to get that back. And the way you do that is you work game speed, and you get your reps, and you make sure you're thinking correctly, and you step in those balls and you shoot like they're going in. And Lex shot the ball well. That was good to see. 4 for 9 from 3. I think it was I think Asa, House, and Chuck. I think they were 4 for 21 from 3, which that's going to be a rarity. You're not going to see that many nights. All three of those guys are great shooters, and I think we're going to do a good job there. 51 rebounds, that's good. 19 assists, 9 turnovers, and got 70 shot attempts. So a lot of good things. We got to play everybody, and got to play everybody. Went to an 8-man rotation in the first half. Not necessarily what I like to do. It's not what we've done the past 4 years around here. We've tried to get to 9, but we need to get a consistent 9, and we need to find consistency in practice to figure out who that 9th guy is. And we've got way too many inconsistencies in practice right now to really be able to solidify those roles. So chose to roll with those 8, and then got to play a lot of the bench in that last 6 minutes. Got to see a lot of guys go out there. Thought Owen Ricker played really hard. He just needs time. He needs reps. And it's fun to see Gunner knock that 3 down. He works as hard as anybody in our program. It's actually amazing, to be honest with you, to watch his work ethic and watch how quickly he's gotten the respect of our team. And so it's good to see him go out there and do some things as well.
Coach, I meant to ask you this about last game also, but I was looking for kind of, we see him on the sideline with crutch, but an update on Davis. And would it be fair to say that Davis probably would have been that 9th guy, and you're kind of still trying to fill that void?
Yeah, Davis was definitely in that top 9 rotation, and had worked his way to where he would have been the first big off the bench. And it's a tough loss for us. I mean, just being honest with you, he had a really good preseason, and brought some leadership, brought some continuity, knows important to our program. And, I think we definitely missed his presence in the last, 10 days. So, we just we need time and we need reps. And most of the options back there are young. It's either freshman or it's a sophomore. And, we gotta just figure out who's going to be consistent. But until we see that every day in practice, it's going to be hard to figure out who that ninth guy is. And I think we got many guys that are capable. When you're dealing with a team that has new faces and they're young, a lot of times it's just knowledge. Do you know what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it? Are you willing to do it the right way all the time? And we're still working to get to that level, right? I think Baba is inserting himself into a guy that has earned a role in some minutes, and just a playmaker. It just kind of makes stuff happen. He goes 1 for 5 from 3. I mean, he's one of those away from shooting 40%. He's been working on his 3 really hard. I thought the one he hit was really clean footwork, stepped into it nicely, knocked it down. But man, he just kind of gets in the paint. He's learning how to pivot, plays on 2, goes in there, grabs a rebound, defends pretty hard. He's just one of those guys where it just makes plays. And but we gotta find that other one, whether it's Colin, whether it's Owen, whether it's Mason. I'm just not quite sure which one it's gonna be at this point. But is it gonna, or are we just gonna stick with 8? That could easily happen if that's the way it goes. But we got a couple of good days of practice coming up, and it's a good opportunity for those guys to go out there and earn a role.
I assume Davis will be out for a while.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Davis will be out for a while. Yeah, I mean that's really at this point that's the most I really have for it. Just in physical therapy, obviously, we got it corrected, and yeah, he's gonna be out for a while.
I think through 3 games now, you start to see a little bit of an identity of the team. One of the things I think this team reminds me a little bit of some of those Stephen Kroom teams, because of the way the aggression, they get to the basket and can draw fouls and get to the line. That's something maybe that previous teams haven't done as much. Can you just speak to that? I think this team's really aggressive offensively.
Yeah, I think at times we're probably a little over aggressive, in needing, the biggest thing that we have to work on with this team right now is, these guys don't mind driving in there, but we gotta learn to stop. And we have to, that's been one of the building blocks of our program, is the ability to stop, the ability to pivot and play the next. And, Alex is a unique talent. I mean, he's just somebody that you're gonna have to live with a couple plays that are kind of like, what was that? But then you're gonna also have to live with a couple plays that are, what was that? And he's got an uncanny ability to just play in the open court, and then he has an unbelievable confidence. And so, look, we're gonna be some growing pains with him, but I think it's the most points in a decade from a freshman since Devin Sibley in 2015. And I think you can just see his swagger, and I think he's going to be a different player in a month than he is right now. He's learning how to play defense. He's learning how to compete every possession. He's learning how to take care of the ball. He's learning how to play, with that same aggression, but disciplined with it. Okay, and learning that, hey, this is the right shot, or this is a pivot, and this is a play behind. And some of those things are just brand new to him. Just wait till he's 6'5" and continues to add a little bit more weight. Now you got him down there, Barkley dribbling like Mike Bothwell used to do, right? And he's all of a sudden it's a passing point, it's a scoring point. He's learning how to pivot. I mean, it's going to continue to change his game. And it's always exciting when you see a good player that isn't close to where they could possibly be, but they're still really good at the same time. And that's what we're seeing with him. And again, right now, are we playing hard? Are we taking care of that ball? And are we getting us into what we do? And I think him learning how to do that is going to take him some time on that. And really, at the end of the day, it's going to take the game and the film to really get him to a point where he gets more comfortable with it.
Coach, it's November 10th, and you've seen a whole gamut of different levels of basketball and all presenting different things to you. What kind of luxury is that to have this quickly in the season?
Well, I mean, I think you can go about this a couple different ways. I mean, the trend in college basketball right now is, play as many easy teams you can early, try to build your confidence up, and then, league play, go out there and, see what you can do. You know, you see that at the high major level. They're all just trying to schedule wins, and you know, I think that's fine, and obviously that helps the metrics, and I get why people do it. They're doing it for the seed line, but it doesn't expose you as well, right? Like, I mean, we got a lot of people 2-0, we got a lot of people 3-0, but they don't know how good they are, right? They're beating people by 25, by 30, and they feel good. You know, they haven't had to deal with losing yet, but they really don't know where their true weaknesses are. I think for us, I told the team, I said, we're probably a little bit too hard on ourselves after that Bama game. I mean, we held them to less points than St. John's did, right? I mean, like, it was 12 points with 13 minutes to go here, and they go up and win at Madison Square Garden. Like, we probably should have given ourselves a little bit more grace after that game. And instead, and that's what we built this to. Like, that's, you know, you got people around here saying, you know, we got to get better, and da-da-da-da-da. Hey, listen, we played Alabama, and we probably kind of moped a little bit and didn't respond quite as well we needed to in that high point game. And, you know, then we played what I think is going to be one of the, I mean, not just mid-major teams. Like, there's going to be, High Point's going to have a chance to be unbelievable this year. And then you play a Troy team that's coming right off the tournament, and man, we've put ourselves in a gauntlet. And you know, I think what it does is we clearly see what we got to get better at. You know, it's no mystery, right? Like, we've got the data of what we got to go get better at. Now we just got to be willing to go do the work. And you know, listen, it's really important for our team to understand, you know, the best Novembers around here have not created the best Marches. All right, one of the hardest Novembers we've had has created the best March around here. And I remember after the Old Dominion game how sick we all were. I remember after, you know, again, kind of like what I'm saying with the Bama game, like we go down to Charleston, we're playing Penn State, and, you know, we're just kind of walking around like, what just happened? We lost to Penn State. It's like, yeah, you lost to a Big Ten team, you know. But that team grew from a lot of that. And, you know, we got pelleted by NC State, and we came and gave it, you know, High Point scored $1 million on us here. But it forced that team to really look and see, like, hey, what do we have to continue to grow in? What do we have to get better at? And so, you know, I think it's, you know, take some of these games now and maybe you address some of these weaknesses a little bit quicker. But just understand, like, even in the losing of Friday night to Troy, that would have been analytically a top 3 defensive performance for last year's team. So when you look at points per possession, that would have been a top 3 defensive performance last year in a 25-win season. And so even with the youth and even with the new faces, you know, when we play hard and we play connected and we sit down and get in a stance, this team can be a really good defense. We're going to be a good offensive team. We just got to make shots. We got to take care of the ball. We got to take great shots. You know, like, we got to continue to get more in a rhythm and understand our concepts. But, you know, the upside, if anything, I've got more conviction of what the upside of this team can be than I did before we started this. And am I a competitor? Absolutely. Do I want to win them all? 100%. But listen, we've got the craziest deal in modern sports right now, that at this level, you have a 3-day season. And it's taken me a while in my tenure to figure all that out. You know, I remember my first year we were playing Elon here, and I mean, I felt like if we lost that game, man, the world was probably going to end, and you know, Jesus was going to come out, he's going to have to come back the next day, and you know, this thing was going to be over. And as you grow and as you learn, you know, you realize that, like, hey, we're just trying to get to the mountaintop. We got to be our best in March. And we saw that a little bit last year, you know, like, fast start, but then, man, we got hit, and we had a tough January. But then we worked through some things and sorted some things out, and all of a sudden we're playing the best basketball that we've played all year, and we did it at the right time, and we gave ourselves a chance to go win a championship, and came up a couple of possessions short late in the game there. But we've got to be in it for the long game. And I love this group. I love going to practice. I can't wait to watch this game tonight. I can't wait to see what we can get better at. And look, I tell this group all the time, you know, nice houses, nice buildings have high ceilings, right? And this team has a framed out house with high ceilings. But nobody wants to live in a framed out house. Like, we got to go finish the work, okay? We can sit there and look at the high ceilings, and we can look at the great frame job, but, like, we got to go build the rest of this, and we got to get the details filled in, and we got to go complete what this could be. But you can see it. I mean, you got Cooper Bowser out there, you got Chuck Johnson out there, you got Ben Vanderwall out there, you got an unbelievable guard that's a freshman that's only going to get better in time. You got Edrin that we saw how well he's playing. You got House and Asa, they're going to start making shots. You got Franklin that's just going to keep getting better and better. We're going to figure out one more to throw out there. Hey, we get confident. We start stepping in the balls, and we start having conviction and making those shots. We start taking care of this ball. We get to playing Furman basketball. In a month, this is going to be a different team.
To that point, the next challenge is similar to last year in a Missouri Valley Conference arena in your first road game of the season, true road game. Just talk about the challenges that Northern Iowa presents on Friday night.
Yeah, Ben Jacobson's just a phenomenal coach, and I've got a lot of respect for him. I've never actually met him, but I've watched him from afar for years, and I've always appreciated his commitment to Northern Iowa and that program and staying there. And they've been NCAA tournament team, and they've always just had a respectable program. And he's done it, from afar. He's done it on skill, he's done it on toughness, he's done it on development, a lot of the things that we value here. And just it's going to be a similar type, losing the Belmont series, we've kind of added this a little bit further away, but still the same type of feel as that Belmont series. They're going to be very well coached. They're going to have good skill. They're going to have good toughness. They're going to keep the floor pretty tight defensively. They're going to run through a lot of different sets offensively. Just watching some of their South Dakota State game last night, and like I said, they're going to be well schooled. So, I look forward to going up there, and they've got a really good guard. The Campbell kid's really tough, and they got 13 was scoring that thing on the block, and he can do some stuff. 14 was out there competing his tail off. So it's going to be a great challenge, but we enjoy those. We enjoy a good, just similar to the game Friday night here versus Troy. Just two good programs going head to head early in the year, just trying to figure each other out. And I fully anticipate it to be a award, and our guys are excited for the challenge.
Coach, last year you talked about how after a loss, Garrett King would always be the first one to contact you to, hey coach, what can we do better? This is what I saw, this one thing. Who's this year so far has been that one after a loss that has come to you first and said, hey coach, we need to do this?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think so far early, Ben Vanderwall's pretty obsessed. I mean, he's a guy where he's going to be. I mean, I think after the High Point game, he was on the bus watching the game from the drive from Rock Hill back here. Charles Johnston is somebody that's really stepped up his leadership as well. I mean, I think, I was still awake that Monday night getting home. I think at 12:42, he sent me a text, and he was just kind of frustrated in how we played, and, just didn't really see that coming, and hey, we got to get it fixed. And, it's, but we got other guys, Coop and I were texting after the game the other night, to Troy, and, just understanding what our upside is and what our potential can be, and making sure that we're committed to continuing to get better and to realize that. And he had a great demeanor about him, wants to continue to get better. I think that, for us right now, it's fun to say, hey, new guys, new faces, new roles, that part's exciting, but these kids are human beings, and they're trying to figure out, hey, what's my settled in role? What does this look like? And, they want to grow in their confidence to be able to realize that role, and not just be potential, but just to get to actualization that, hey, you know what, like, yes, I'm able to carry this role. And, all these guys are capable. I think confidence is a funny thing, and I told him before in pregame today, talked a little bit about Yogi Berra, and just, how the owner of the Cardinals, even though he's from St. Louis, owner of the Cardinals, told him, he said, look, I don't think you'll ever play in the majors. I don't think you're big enough, and I just don't think you're gonna have, the ability, the playmaking skills to be a Major League Baseball player. And a year later, he signs with the Yankees, Hall of Famer, 10 world championships, and just the correct thinking. Like this whole world right now, like let's a Twitterverse like define everybody, and let's fans like decide who's good, and let's people on Twitter like say this guy's good, this guy's not good, and look they're bad or look they're good, and like we perform to this fake audience, right? That is really out there. That's just created so much just disaster for all of the people in college athletics, of just critiquing this thing. And a lot of times, like, these kids let that stuff get in. And they start having a little bit of self-doubt. And they start wondering, like, man, am I as good as I thought I was? And then they don't communicate that, right? They're not going to go and tell anybody that. They're going to internalize all that. And then that's part of coaching, right? You got to be able to sit down with them and work through some of that. And what I'm trying to get this group to do is just, hey, look, you know, Yogi Berra decided how good he was going to be, right? Like he had an MLB owner telling him he wasn't going to be able to play in the majors, and he could have accepted that. But he decided that, you know what, like, I'm going to think correctly, and I'm going to make the decision that I want to go out there and be great. And I think that when you grow teams and you grow programs and you grow identity, you have to have people that say, you know what, like, I'm going to go get this done. And I'm gonna let the light in me shine brighter than the light on me. And I'm not gonna care what all these people say and what all this noise is. Like, I'm just gonna go be a performer. And then you get a group of people like that now all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's go play ball. And I do think we have a few that just need to lighten up a little bit, you know. And this is a gift. All right, this game is either gonna be a blessing or a burden. And right now, because of the nature of this and how scrutinized it is, it's becoming a burden than more than people think, you know, unfortunately. And we've gotten outside of understanding that this was meant for character development. This was meant for, you know, bridging, you know, adolescence to adulthood and teaching them life skills and teaching them how to compete, and teaching them how to be a team, and teaching them how to sacrifice, teach them how to grow, teach them how to deal with hard things, and then see them develop, right? And let that impact in the program go and push them into what they're going to do next in the community. And you know, my hope and our purpose in this program is that we continue to fight for that. And part of that is developing the confidence to go out there and listen. Like, we don't play for the noise, right? We want to play for substance. We don't want to play for style, right? Like, we don't, like, let all that be what it's going to be. And you know, don't ever take criticism from somebody who wouldn't take advice for it. Like, don't let that noise determine your value. And you got to let your work, and you got to let your connections and your relationship and your teammates, like trust in that, right? And that's, at the end of the day, like, that's what we're missing, you know, like globally, right? It's just like the ability to come together, solve problems, depend on one another, be vulnerable with one another, like, talk about our struggles, talk about the things that are hard, and like, how do we grow together in this? You know, let's go out there and let's go be a team, you know, and people are thirsty for that. And I think for our program to be a light in that, you know, that's what I want to see these guys do. And look, I'm going to go to war with these guys every day of the week. And we got a group that, you know, like I said, in a month, it's going to be a different group. And I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what a game is going to be. But it's going to be a fun journey. And we've got to be committed to trying to just find that, right? Just internally, just work for a true purpose. And if we do that, I got a ton of belief in where this team can be. And we got to make sure we keep that as our ultimate focus and